Welcome to part 3 of the birth pains have increased and are increasing. Look up your redemption, draw nigh.
New York City police are searching for a group of men they say are responsible for a series of brazen daylight robberies on mopeds over the weekend. Separate incidents in different parts of the city involving the use of electric scooters to quickly approach victims, strike, and then speed away. On Friday, the first attack caught on a security camera released by police. A 64-year-old man walking in the Chelsea neighborhood of Manhattan doesn't notice two men on mopeds approaching him from behind. One man gets off, allegedly grabs the $12,000 Rolex on the man's wrist, yanks it off, and appears to push the man to the ground. The victim runs after them but can't keep up with the motorized scooters. The man suffered a few scrapes but refused medical attention. On Saturday,
A $12,000 watch? Is that what she just said? Why would you need a watch that costs that kind of money? What good could that little piece, you little tin god on your arm, do you? Costing that much money? That is about one of the biggest gums and dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Do you know how many people that would have fed? How many people that could have clothed? But yet, you spent that on a watch that got stolen from you inevitably. I'm just going to let you think on that for a minute.
A nearly identical crime, also caught on video footage released by the NYPD. Two young women walking near the famous Guggenheim Museum on the Upper East Side, attacked by two men on a scooter. First, the driver appears to swipe for the woman's necklace, but she dodges to the ground. The passenger then goes in for a second try, but the victim's friend drags her away, allowing the woman to get in a few well-placed kicks. The would-be thieves quickly roll out without taking anything. The woman suffered only minor injuries. It all comes as major crime in New York City has risen significantly since last year. Robbery, assault, burglary, grand larceny, and car theft all seeing major increases.
Major increases in all these thefts. That should tell you something. A, you're in the wrong place, maybe. B, well, the Bible did warn us not to be adorned in gold and silver. I've been trying to tell you all that. If you're going to wear it, you're going to have to bear the brunt of what you've done. They're looking at you. You wanted people to look at you wearing all that junk, all those idol gods, saying, look at me, I'm fancy as can be. Well, fancy pants, you're going to have to deal with the thefts and things going on. You're going to have to deal with people attacking you for your goods. This is what you wanted. Remember that. Because you didn't want to keep the word of God and do it his way. No, you wanted to do it yours.
Ethnic group. Now pay attention. His return is near.
A political crisis in Iraq has erupted into violence after the powerful Shiite leader Muqtada al-Sadr announced he was quitting frontline politics. Gunfire and explosions have rocked Baghdad's high-security green zone in the past few hours, with reports of heavy fighting between rival Shiite factions. At least 20 people have been killed and hundreds injured in the worst fighting the Iraqi capital has seen in years. Victoria Gatenby begins our coverage.
Chaos in Baghdad's heavily fortified green zone. Rival Shiite factions targeting each other. The fighting escalated late on Monday night after a day of violence and political turmoil. Protests broke out after Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr announced he was quitting frontline politics. His supporters broke into the presidential palace, which houses the Prime Minister's office. Many.
Yes, there will be a link provided added to the videos that I'm using for this footage, because I've used a couple of different Watchmen, their footage. I thank you, Watchmen 1963. I thank you, Watchmen 88, Chad, for your footage, the use of your footage. I thank you both very much for doing what you do. This footage here about the presidential palace, we've seen this before. This is becoming a regular thing, seems like, with these presidential palaces being broken into in Africa and different places. This is becoming like an instant replay. This keeps going on. Seems odd to me. Well, what do I know? I'm dumb as a stick. I just happen to notice there's some sort of pattern here. But this is like, what, the third, the fourth presidential palace that has been taken over in the last little while because of things happening that took that leader out of power for some reason. This is the thing I was talking about earlier in my earlier videos, and I had posted a video already that Amir Stafati, where he was reporting on this. Those are still on my profile on Facebook, so please do go watch those. And if you're viewing this on YouTube, you can go to my Facebook, same name, and you can view that stuff.
Even taking to the palace pool. Caretaker Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi halted cabinet sessions until further notice, but Iraq's political life was already in limbo. There's been deadlock for almost a year since Muqtada al-Sadr's party won the largest share of seats in elections last October. It wasn't enough to secure a majority, and Sadr hasn't been able to form a government of his choosing. He told his MPs to resign in June, and his supporters have been protesting since July. Some even briefly occupied parliament. They want new elections without the participation of Iran-backed groups. This is not the first time Sadr has announced his retirement from politics, and many have dismissed it as a bluff to gain leverage over his rivals. Already, several protesters have been killed and hundreds wounded, and it's feared Sadr's latest move could lead to yet more instability.
More instability.
Neighbors continue to dig through the rubble in the hope of salvaging what they can. The residents describe what happened.
All of a sudden, I just saw the bulk of mud and palm trees uprooted from the stump. The mud which fell destroyed these 3 houses, which caused the death of 6 people.
They call it.
The destruction also leaving many here
No,
homeless.
this is birth pains. This is
We live here because this
the
is where
Lord
we managed to pay
announcing his
cheaper rent.
return.
I don't have the money to pay.
This is not global warming. This is Jesus announcing his return to his people. If you're his child, look, child. See, child. Your Father is soon returning. Get your houses in order. Get your lamps trimmed and burning. Look up, your redemption draweth nigh. I keep trying to tell you that.
Pay for an expensive house.
Emergency workers say 2 more people were killed in Freetown as a result of the torrential rains. An evacuation order has now been issued. President Julius Maada Bio issued a statement sending condolences to affected families. He once described Sierra Leone as the world's third most vulnerable nation when it comes to the impact of climate change. Yet despite a government ban 5 years ago, people continue to build settlements in disaster-prone areas in and around Freetown.
More lies and more
As seen
lies
here,
by the beat system.
the consequences can be fatal.
Homeless and in desperate need of help. 36 villages in eastern Sudan have been inundated by
Have
water.
you ever seen this
And
much
the threat
flooding
from
and things
floods isn't over yet.
in your
The
entire
torrential
life?
rains began more than
Have
5
you
weeks
seen
ago.
this much
El Gash, a
destruction
seasonal river near the city
globally
of Kassala, has
in
reached
your entire
unprecedented
life?
levels and threatens to spill into surrounding areas. Local authorities say several people have lost their lives in this area so far. 15,000 homes have been completely or partly damaged. Swathes of agricultural land have been destroyed. Thousands of families have lost their livelihoods. Many of the affected areas are remote and have been impossible to reach because the roads have been cut off by floods. 14 states across Sudan need immediate help. The deadly floods have caused extensive damage to property, especially in the states of Kordofan, Darfur, Al Jazeera, and White Nile. With a few more weeks of the wet season remaining, fears are mounting that the situation for those already affected might go from bad to worse.
Tonight in Pakistan, a monster monsoon causing unprecedented devastation across the country. Since mid-June, the massive floods killing over 1,100 people and displacing millions, the Pakistani government says. The floods destroying bridges and roads, making rescue efforts difficult. This video showing a boy stranded on a rock amidst the raging waters, a soldier pulling him to safety, but others not as fortunate. This video showing a large building crumbling under the currents. Satellite images show the shocking before and after. Entire villages gone. Pakistan's climate change minister Sherry Rahman saying in an interview that she fears a third of the country could be underwater by late September. Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif flying over the disaster zone on Sunday, saying it was the worst monsoon Pakistan had seen in 3 decades. In a tweet saying the magnitude of the calamity.
Okay. I'm going to point out to you again. Notice the late September. And the Vatican has called for their people, the Pope has called for those that work for them to move their money by the end of September, by the 30th of September. As you will notice from the articles and things that is posted in the comment section of the first video in this group. Now I'm getting ready to close out of this particular part and go into part 4. I will see you in part 4.